Hi, beautifuls. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Relax, because guess what I have for you? This is the official Tishel copy that was granted to me today. I'm so happy to read it to you guys. Yay! Okay, beautiful. Let's go ahead and get started here at 1 Nephi. And I think we did leave off we stopped at 5. So we're going to go ahead and start with 5. And let's go ahead and begin. Let's see. It came to pass, took place of brass. Yeah, see, it came to pass. This is where we left off. Chapter 4:38. The last line says, "And it came to pass that we took the plates of brass, and there the servant Laban departed into the wilderness and journeyed unto the tent of our father." Okay, so that was right, and they were brass. They were brass, but they turned into gold. And what is that called, ladies and gentlemen? That is alchemy. That is alchemy. And that is the beauty and the majestic power of Al Mukta Kabir. Using my Italian sign language here, Al Mukta Kabir is the most majestic. So when we think of majesty, right, we don't really use the word magic because it's not really magic. This is actually just the wisdom and the power. Not using the word power either. The wisdom and strength and might and glory of Allah, right? This is the majesty, right? We call it majesty. He's able to alchemize, and he's amazing. So that's what that is, right? That is divine alchemy. So I will go ahead and start here with chapter 5. So we have here Saraya, right? Saraya is his wife. Um, Let me just make sure, because Saraya sounds like Sarai, right? Remember? Saraya, Sarai with Abraham. But Saraya complains against Lehi. Both rejoice over the return of their son. So they came and returned. It says here they offered sacrifices. The plates of brass contained writings of Moses and the prophets. The plates of Lehi as a descendant of Joseph. Lehi prophesies concerning his seed and the preservation of the plates. And this was 600 to 592 BC. Okay. It says here, "And it came to pass that after we had come down into the wilderness unto our father, behold, he was filled with joy, and also my mother, for she truly had mourned because of us. For she had supposed that we had perished in the wilderness, and she had also complained against my father, telling him that he was a visionary man, saying, Behold, thou hast led us forth from thy land of our inheritance, and thy sons are no more, and we perish in the wilderness." Okay, so this is that feeling of longing, right? That feeling of longing, like what happens when your children leave the nest, right? What happens? It makes you feel like you're longing, and you miss them, and you complain to, of course, dad, because it's always dad's fault, right? So always dad's fault. He's, doing his best, but they had a mission to complete, right? So they had to leave the nest. And finally, when they returned, they were very, very happy. And what does it mean here? It says visionary man. She complained against my father, telling him he was a visionary man. So usually a visionary, especially in today's era, visionary is a good thing, right? That's a good thing. That means you're a seer. That means that you're able to see past the smoke, if you will. You're able to see behind the veil and able to understand context without even really having to know it, right? So that is a visionary man. But sometimes it could also mean that you're a little bit lofty, right? That you have your kind of like head is in the clouds and you're not focused on the here and now. But it's actually quite the opposite. It's because you are seeing clearly, right? You're actually able to see very, very clearly behind the veil, and it's actually more present and more real than this reality. If you were, you know, not a visionary, right? If you're not a seer, so it's a gift. That is a gift from God, being able to have like the sight and the vision to be able to see through whatever fog and connect with the divine, right? So that right there, it is what it is, right? This is, again, it's a divine gift. This isn't a tool that you can acquire. This isn't like a practice you can practice. This is literally just like a gift from God that is divinely granted to you. It has to be divine. It can't be, a visionary. You can, I mean, you can take mushrooms, right? You can take mushrooms, you can take acid, you can take drugs and receive visions, but they're different visions. Those are more of a like a body vision, right? You're able to like, see different aspects of yourself that you weren't able to see before, and it's only focused internally and also focused on the earth. Those are what drugs do. They let you focus on the earth and how your body is feeling. In terms of other visionaries, like an offensive term for a visionary would be, somebody who's maybe a little bit too work obsessed, like somebody who loves to work all the time, like we call those workaholics, right? Those people just, love to work and that's all that they do, right? So that can be another kind of offensive way to look at someone who's actually a visionary. And again, it's a gift from God because you have to have the energy to be able to see through the veil. It's not an easy process. So in order to decloud the muck, if you will, fasting, prayer, talking to Allah, being conscious of Allah, and I'm using Allah because I'm a Muslim, but talking to God, right? Same source. So you're actually communicating with Allah all the time, especially if you establish that prayer routine every so often, right? Because you're actually connecting with Him on a daily basis. And when I say connecting, it's just simply you're praising Him. And He grants you gifts because you're like, oh, yes, you remembered me, you're thankful. Let me go ahead and grant you this gift of touch. And He touches you, He touches you on your head as you're praying. As you're bowing down, He touches your head and goes like this to you. And it's Allah too. I'm not like trying to make it seem like this is the closeness that He has with us. It's not an angel, right? This is actually, you are setting those times aside for God, and He touches you on your head like this, like this. And what He does is He grants you wisdom, He grants you vision, He grants you authority, He grants you discernment, right? He grants you all these gifts that can be compiled and used to better your future, right? So let's not take that for granted. It's a very good thing, right, to be a visionary man. You just can't be too focused on one thing. Like, so what happens, again, when you're pouring everything into your work, if you're pouring everything into your entertainment, if you're pouring everything into a thing, right, not, person is different because a person is a person. If you're communicating with somebody, talking to them on the phone, that's love, that's connection, that's okay. But if you're just pouring into these idols, it's not going to do you any good or any harm. It's just going to be like a waste, right? Which I guess is not inherently good or bad, but it is kind of a pain in the ass to clean up, if you know what I mean. So I will go ahead and continue. Let's stop with the jibber jab. Let's go in here. This is chapter 3. It says, and after this manner of language had my mother complained against my father. And it had come to pass that my father spake unto her, saying, I know that I'm a visionary man, for if I had not seen the things of God in a vision, I should not have known the goodness of God. But I had tarried in Jerusalem and had perished with my brethren. But behold, I have obtained a land of promise, in which things I do rejoice. Yea, I know that the Lord will deliver my sons out of the hands of Laban, and bring them down again unto us in the wilderness. And after this manner of language did my father Lehi comfort my mother Sarai, I keep wanting to say Sarai, but Sariah, concerning us while we were journeyed in the wilderness up to the land of Jerusalem, to obtain the record of the Jews. And when we had returned to the tent of my father, behold, their joy was full, and my mother was comforted. And she spake, saying, Now I know of surety that the Lord hath commanded my husband to flee into the wilderness. Yea, I also know of a surety that the Lord hath protected my sons, and delivered them out of the hands of Laban, and given them power whereby they could accomplish the thing which the Lord hath commanded them. And after this manner of language did she speak. And it came to pass that they did rejoice exceedingly. They did offer sacrifice and burnt offerings unto the Lord, and they gave thanks unto the God of Israel. But I do want to clarify this just a little bit because remember we talked about sacrifice a lot in the Bible and how it became a very like ritualistic and holy thing. Like it was very much a protected thing. And when we hear the word sacrifice, we get kind of like put off because we're like, like what, sacrifice, sounds scary, right? It sounds scary. But with the sacrifice, remember I said it's just giving something up that you would normally um, do, right? That's just like taking something away, right? Taking something away. So with the sacrifice, all they were doing is cooking. All they were doing was cooking. And why they called it sacrifice? Because they are killing an animal. Why? To sustain themselves. That is their energy. That's how they keep moving forward, is by eating food. And so it was actually at this time a very rare occurrence for people to actually like eat food. Like you don't understand how hard it is to catch and hunt and skin and do all of that, right? So they prepared, that was like a sacrifice. It's a ritual, right? They have to hunt and do all of that extra work. So you're sacrificing your time, you're sacrificing your energy to get the animal, and so you're sacrificing it by killing it, right? So it's like a triple threat. And with the sacrifice, that's what they just did to have to sustain their energy and to cook, right? So we think it's a scary thing, but sacrifice really just means to cook, and we've gone over this before. And it says burnt offerings. So what are the burnt offerings again? People think that's like incense. So the fancy people, right, they used incense. They made like special perfumes and things like that to make incense. But the other people just left whatever they cooked um, in the fire, right? And those were like the bits for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That smoke, right? And it's just letting him know that like, hey, thank you for this catch, thank you for this kill. I am thinking of you. I'm thinking of you. Here is a sacrifice to you, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's going up to you now, right? So that is just a clarification on that. And it says here, and after they had given thanks upon the God of Israel, my father Lehi took the records which were engraven upon the plates of brass, and he did search them from the beginning. And he held that they did contain 5 books of Moses, which gave an account of creation of the world, and also Adam and Eve, who were our first parents, and also a record of the Jews from the beginning, even down to the commencement of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah. And so the prophecies of the holy prophets from the beginning, even down to the commencement of the reign of Zedekiah, and also many prophets in which have been spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah. And it came to pass that my father Lehi also found upon the plates of brass genealogy of his fathers, wherefore he knew that he was a descendant of Joseph, even that Joseph who was the son of Jacob, who was sold into Egypt, and who was preserved by the hand of the Lord, that he might preserve his father Jacob and all his household from perishing with famine. Let me review that real quick. And it came to pass that my father Lehi also found upon the plates of brass genealogy of his fathers, where therefore he knew that he was a descendant of Joseph. Even that Joseph who was the son of Jacob. Okay, yes, so Joseph and the coat of many colors, right? That is Jacob's son. And we have Jacob. Jacob is Israel, right? Israel made up the 12 tribes, right? Was sold into Egypt, who was preserved by the hand of the Lord, that he might preserve his father Jacob and all his household from perishing with the famine. Okay, wow. So, I mean, it's just a beautiful perspective. Something that I did want to bring up is these groups of people, Nephi, right? Nephi, and all of these individuals, they came from the line of Judah, but this is after the Old Testament. And it's just funny to think because we think like the people of Jerusalem and Israel, like those were great cities. They were large, they were very, very advanced individuals, like highly advanced. So with that, right, with those great civilizations, we have to remember and we have to think about, what happened to Nephi to make him depart from Jerusalem? What happened? Because they were great civilizations. What happened to these individuals that made them exile? And, of course, Babylon did fall, or excuse me, we had the yeah, well, it was around the time of the fall of Babylon. So we will try to think about, what happened to have them become these nomadic people. So that's what they became, nomads, right? So let's go ahead and move along. Let out of captivity, who had preserved them. And thus my father, and now my father saw these things. Okay. It says, now when my father saw all these things, he was filled with the Spirit and began to prophesy concerning his seed, that these plates of brass should go forth unto all the nations, kindred tongues, and the people who were of his seed. Wherefore he said that these plates of brass should never perish, neither should they be dimmed by any more time. And he prophesied many things concerning his seed. And it came to pass that thus far I and my father had kept the commandments therewith the Lord has commanded of us. And we have obtained the records which the Lord has commanded us, and searched them, and found that they were desirable, yea, even of great worth unto us, insomuch that we could preserve the commandments of the Lord unto our children. Wherefore it was wisdom in the Lord that we should carry them with us, and we journeyed in the wilderness towards the land of promise. So that is beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. 60 minutes, it is a little bit of a wordy read, so it does take me just a little bit of getting used to. And I am exhausted, you guys. Like, you don't understand. I know I seem full of energy and love and light, but I'm like absolutely spent. And I didn't even work today, so I don't know what's going on. um, yes, so this is great. This is great news. Remember, I talked about how we're moving through time and space right now. Literally, I don't know how long we've actually been doing this. Moving through time and space, so. And we have stopped at a very interesting point in time and space. Again, from what I have talked about last time, this is all new terrain. It's new area, it's new space. We're still encapsulated here within our ship, if you will, that we call Earth and our solar system and everything. So it's actually new territory. So feel free to get up and move about the cabin, see how everything is. I'm looking here. I don't know what time we'll be shipping off again, if you will. I know this sounds very lofty. Okay, I talked to my mother earlier today, and she's like, "You sound like you're like in a very high up place." Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. She's like, "You sound so lofty. Like, what are you even talking about right now?" I'm like, "I'm just trying to explain the vision, right?" And I will be honest, like Lehi was a visionary man, so he has the same gifts of sight. It was my cousin that I actually spoke to that actually, because she was on the phone with me, she was able to explain this vision that she was experiencing and how it looks. Because it really, all she gave me was a feeling, and I also received a vision, but I was able to explain it. And then when she got on the phone to me, she was able to explain her experience, and then everything just collided, and we actually came into unity and congruence about what is going on. So that is a beautiful thing. And this, I don't know what's going on here. Okay, nice. Okay. I don't know what this is, but apparently, if somebody can explain like this rotation, is this like a gyration, right? Gyration. So, energy, positive energy, really good energy, very good energy. Nice. Okay. Because I don't know. I told you guys long, long ago, these people worked very, very hard for their food. So now we're moving into a space time where, eating might not be the the best thing. It's like a little treat, right? It's a little sacrifice. So I'm going to sacrifice some of my funds that I worked so hard for so I can eat a little snack. But now we can generate our own energy. How beautiful, right? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Generate our own energy. Wow. Good. And this is actually what like electricians do, right? If you're like pedaling a bike, right? Boxing, right? Or what else? What else? Drumming, drumming, or I don't know what this is. Ba, 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 ba. Who knows? Okay, I will talk to you guys later. Like, I'm tripping out. Just basically, like, this is a weird time, and I appreciate you guys listening to my rants and raves. Have a good night. I'll talk to you later. Bye.